Hi and welcome. Today we're going to start painting the banner kit if you did purchase the base. And I want to show you a couple things. In your kit, of course, you have your banner board. And for the first set of flags, you should have these. You should have two of the pointed ends, your triangle, the half circle, and the decorative one. And then one thing I'm not showing is you will have the layered chipboards, and we went with the different fall because we wanted it to match the rest of our Craftology box, and they're just darling. And then you'll have the paper that we used to cover the 6x6 sheets for those. Then you're going to have these small hooks, and you will need those. We will be putting them into the board. You have for sure the ivory, light ivory. Some of you did order the brown, and some of you ordered black, so you have one or the other. Couple things that you're going to need: paintbrushes. Your foam ones are great. Pick them up at the Dollar Tree, anywhere you like. I do like to have a regular paintbrush also, and I love the painter's tape. In fact, I did pick up some for delicate surfaces, only because the paint is not a heavy duty like paint that you would use on your walls. And it does well. It dries quickly, but the video, you'll notice there'll be quite a bit of stopping and then restarting because there's drying time. And really, we just, there's not a lot we can do together just during drying time. And so another thing you're going to want a baby wipe. If you do a baby wipe or a wet paper towel, wring it out really well. I'm just going to use one of my tacky cloths. These are handmade. And so there's going to be some sawdust. A lot of times, even after they're handmade, and the craftsman, after he cleans them, we get them and the sawdust has been stuck in between the grooves. So we're going to clean it off, and I'm going to just tap that into my garbage can. Like I said, these are all completely handmade from a local company right here where I live, and he makes them, and he's been making them. He's going to start making them just for us. Okay, there we go. Now you can take your paintbrushes also and get rid of the rest. Now, if you've used anything wet, of course, you want to allow it to dry. And that's perfectly fine. It won't hurt your wood at all. So the first thing I like to do is to paint my big surface here. One reason this, you can leave either white, the inside edge, or you can bring your black or brown inside of there. But I don't have to worry about it this way, and I can just do my taping later. Totally up to you. So when I get started, oh, and I'm just using an old shipping box. The other side's covered in paint. So one thing I like to do is just squish out some of the paint. And let's get started. This is really a fun project. And the base part, you don't have to worry about doing, again, unless you want to purchase more, of course. Now, you can do, let me show you with this brush. Let me get up here in the paint. You can go along and cut in, just like you would normally, maybe paint a wall. And you can actually cut that in, if you like that better. And as I'm painting, I actually have a new scent in my Scentsy. Oh my goodness, it's like the hot chocolate holiday. And it's perfect. It feels like we should have holiday music in the background. This is such a cool, fun project. And one that you can display year-round because we'll be making the different banners. But it's also a fun project if you want to get your friends together. And so economical. So you purchase the board just once. Like I said, you may want some of these for other areas in your room. We're going to be carrying them, but he will cut them to order each time. So there is about a 3-day leeway before we ship out. That's the only thing. So plan accordingly with the holidays if you're going to make these for gifts. From the time you order, it'll be 3 days before it ships is all. They are handcrafted, and they are going to last a long time. In fact, forever. And as we head in, believe it or not, we're starting to say for us as we head into the new year, because there's a lot of planning to do on the new banners, the new Craftology boxes, which we're going to be doing some matching with our banners with the Craftology box. The wood products are a lot of fun, and there's something that you can permanently leave out, so we will be adding more to the lineup. Now, actually, I'm happy with this brush. This is a really nice one. Just picked it up in the local scrapbooks craft store. I believe it was Michael's or Joann's, one of those. Actually, you know, what other local scrapbook stores do we have anymore? Joann's, Michael's, or Hobby Lobby. But for your basic supplies like this, they're terrific. Now you can also, if you would like to have the darker color on the inside, and then you can do your light on the outside. You can do your board the whole color of ivory if you like. You can do this any way you want. I just want to show you the basics. Now, paint likes to pool in between those two lines. That is where you do want maybe a smaller paintbrush, any craft brush, especially a small one that you can just go inside of there along that edge and clean that out. Now, each one of these is going to be it will be unique. So it's a little different than mine in the way the boards fit, or maybe in shipping. If you are in a humid area, you may need to dry it out just a little bit, because the wood did expand probably from shipping, and that's normal. So let's go ahead and get this on. And it does take 2 coats. Well, if you want 2 coats. If you want more of this whitewash look, you can actually stop here. You can wipe it with a dry cloth and then just get, let me show you, get that whitewash look, more of a fence board. And that looks pretty neat also. Now, one thing when you're using paint, if you haven't experimented a lot in paint, see how cool that looks too. Don't hesitate to experiment, because if you don't like it, all you have to do is add another layer on. Now, with this kind of wood, when I wiped, I did get some shavings that were down in the crease. And you can also sand this once it's dry if you want a super, super smooth finish. For me, it's not, you don't notice it unless you're looking up close, and it just adds to the character of the board. Now, one thing that I'm going to go ahead and do, just to get that paint on, and since we're working with the ivory color, we're going to set this aside. We will have to come back once it dries. So let's go ahead and grab our banner pieces. And it actually is easier if we just paint the back side of these now, because the front side we will be covering with the paper, and it won't matter which is your front or your back. And the thing is, this is where it does get a little messy. We're going to paint the sides. Sometimes your foam brush will work better because it is a little bit of a rugged edge. And this washes right out with water. And once again, when it's all dry, you can sand your edges if you want it to be more of a rustic look. Now, one side gets painted, one side does not, because we're going to cover it in paper. But a word of warning. Once I get to this point, and I just need to grab one of my dry wipes. I just wipe that off just so it doesn't stick down onto my surface. Use your finger now. Another great thing to use is if you have any of these pokey tools. I picked these up at Harbor Freight. They fit perfectly inside the hole, making that very simple. Now we just push that aside. Grab your next one. And I do like to do these sides first. One thing about let me tell you a little bit if you're chiming in. Like I said, this is different than our paper crafts, but we will be using our scrapbook paper to decorate with, and you'll be seeing us doing a lot more decorating on the wood. This is our Craftology Box banner kit, and then every month you'll get 5 new banners, and they range in size from 3 to 5 inches. They're just adorable, and we're going to be decorating them different now. We kind of started our kit club late in the year, so I think I just got paint on my forehead. We are going to be skipping Halloween. This one is going to be fall. And the fall is what we chose because you can leave it up through Thanksgiving. So if you don't want to do this in in fall, and you have Halloween embellishments and paper, absolutely go ahead. And next month we will be doing the Christmas banner. You will get different shaped banner pieces, and we do a different mixture of them, and then our paper that we choose is going to be just adorable. And those kits each month will run, I think, about $15.99 to $18.99 a month, depending on the embellishments or the extra wood pieces we'll be putting in to decorate with, or it may have well, just whatever what we put together in the kit. So they're very reasonable, $15.99 to $18.99 a month for your banner kit, because once you buy the board, it's not something you have to purchase again after we're done painting. For those of you who have not seen it, I will show it to you, a finished product. Now, you may have to do some sanding on your edges, and I usually do my sanding after, when the paint is all dry, and then I know I don't have any of the shreds. We don't worry too much about the inside of one side because we are going to be covering that with our paper. But the next set of next month, when they come out in October, will be our Christmas. And they always won't be seasonal. We have some really fun ones coming up for decorating your craft room if you are displaying this in a craft room, or you just want to display the things you do. I know that doesn't make much sense, but it will, I promise. We are planning on offering the kits from the prior month, so that if you've missed out on a month, you'll be able to purchase the prior months and you won't miss out. Some of the paper collections will be exclusive to the Craftology Box. So if you're familiar with our Craftology Box, that's our monthly paper crafting. It's a box of creativity that comes right to your house. We have a whole Craftology Box team who creates card tutorials, mini album tutorials, fabulous tutorials to go with each kit, so that you know what to do with that box full of craftiness. Our main goal at Country Craft Creations is that we do like to cultivate creativity. I don't know, creativity is one of the outlets that we all have. I don't care if you think you're talented or not. We're all creative. Sometimes we just don't know what direction to go with that creativity, and that's where we come in. We want to help you there. We want to bring crafting to our new beginners because it is so relaxing, and it really is a fun way to bring your family, friends together. This is a project that you could have a family craft night, have everyone purchase their boards, and then get together monthly and do your banners. Put the hot chocolate on and just go to town having a ball. Wine, maybe, cheese party, depending if the kids are there. Now, this is also a project we have taken camping many a times on family reunions, where everybody has bought their boards, and then we do the painting at the family reunion as a project. Hey, even the guys get involved. Okay. Oh, that's all. 2, 3, 4, 5. See how fast this goes? Wow. It's amazing. So now this is where the video paused. We are going to still let the white dry, but I have to clean the brushes because I'm changing over to the brown. You might be changing over to the black. With these foam brushes being as inexpensive as they are, I don't wash those out. I just grab a new one, but you can wash yours out if you like. For those of you that have just joined in, this is a finished banner project. Now this, you can actually hang this on your wall. Mine, actually, I put on upside down, but there are places you can also hang a string, a wire in the back. I am just setting mine on the shelf because it will set nicely on a mantle or a cabinet. So mine sits over on the cabinet here in my craft room. And these are the banner pieces that we're working on. Absolutely adorable, aren't they? So we will be making a new banner every month, and it is so much fun. So I'm using the brown and the ivory. And our banner pieces are drying. I should have washed this little guy out. So let me just grab. One thing to keep your paintbrushes from drying out are you can wrap it in your wet wipe as you're working, because the moisture will keep it good. You can keep water next to your desk. I do not. I've learned from experience. With me, that is not a good thing to do, having water next to my crafting. And anything that's convenient for you. So I'm going to move that. It is still wet. Those do need some drying time. And then we're going to go back and put another coat on everything. Again, you can leave this, mine's still wet, you can leave it sheer if you want just a whitewash look. We will be doing, I'm going to be doing the inside of mine. I usually wrap the brown. On this one, I'm going to leave it white. So, we should have done that first. I'm going to do the inside white. I'm not going to wrap it this time. And my tape will come into play when we start doing the top. So, sorry about washing the brushes. If you washed yours, so I have this up on its side. Okay, move that upside down. There's still a lot of paint in there. And using your foam, or I love the flat brush for this reason. It's more of a flat. I don't remember what it's called, but it's a flat 50559. And I did purchase this at Michael's. They have loose brushes that you can purchase separate. This is a really nice one. Had it for years, but I know they still have the flat brushes. So as I'm painting the inside, I have to be at an angle. Don't worry about getting paint on the top. We're going to be covering that in brown, and we'll be using our tape to mask it off. So now I'm going to turn it up, and that's the inside of the short end. And getting those corners. Doesn't take much paint at all. And it's already a little bit painted and messy because of my original inside painting. But it's really fun. I love bringing wood and paper together. A lot of times we get the scrapbook paper and we're just in love with it. It's beautiful. What they're making nowadays is just amazing, but we can't always just display it. And this, when we add our scrapbook paper to wood products, it's such a fun way to do that. We can share our home decor with our scrapbook paper and put it out for the world to see. So we have now the inside lip painted. And since we have some drawing time now, yep, the inside's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and let's put in our second coat on the inside. This time I am just dumping it on the board because the first layer is somewhat like your primer. You can use a separate primer. I never have on my woods because I don't want it to look completely covered. But the first coat acts as your primer, so you'll notice the second coat won't soak in as much into the wood. Some dust there. And I'm trying not to put a big glob. I just did on our crease that's in the middle of the board, but if you do, that's okay. We'll just take our little paintbrush to it. Goodness. What is it about our bodies? We start washing dishes, our nose itches. We start filming and talking, we need to cough. I guess it's just human nature, isn't it? And painting is so relaxing. Crafting is just relaxing. I mean, it has its moments, as long as we don't take everything too serious. I'm actually going to use my tool and clean that out instead of my paintbrush. Only because it was super handy. Now this paint will clean up really well. And it dries really fast. So I'm going to go ahead and go over these edges now. One reason is I've smeared, paint as we're going along. And I need to smooth it out. If there's ever any areas you don't like, all you have to do is sand it off. But this is supposed to look a little bit rustic. But you don't want paint drips and globs for sure. Now see, as you work with your board, you're going to notice sawdust, and that's because we pushed it out of that creased area. Now, as you're painting, if there's spots that weren't dry and you're just painting over them and it's not covering, that's okay. We'll get those again later. Sometimes you'll have areas that didn't get smoothed out as much, and so it's not quite as dry, and that's okay with this paint. If you've never done painting before, this is like, there are no rights and wrongs. Let's move the brown. So if I start painting up out of the camera, all I'm doing is painting this ledge. I'm not doing anything different or secretive, so I promise you're not missing anything. I'm just going along the edges. I love this. I'm going to have one upstairs, one downstairs. I need a little more paint. And by the time we paint our ledge here, we will be able to paint our banner pieces. Now remember, you can use your brown or your black on your banner pieces. You don't have to use the ivory. With it being fall, I don't think I would use my black, but you may like the black. Okay, so basically our board for the inside with our ivory is now done if you're happy with how it looks. Again, you can wipe that paint and get more of a rustic fence board look. You can wait when it dries, sand it if you want to add a little bit of very rustic areas. I'm going to leave mine only because different seasons may not have that rustic look, you know, when we get into our different banners. But we have our ivory paint out, so let's go ahead and let's add an extra coat. And there's enough on my paintbrush. I can get these edges. Doesn't matter what piece you start with. We are just putting another coat on the edges. Now the edges will get a little bit of sanding. It's inevitable because we have to sand our paper somewhat. And I did pick up some sawdust, but that will be easily sanded off. Now after you sand, if you are going to do any sanding, you shouldn't have to, but if you do, you just want to make sure you wipe it off and then repaint those areas. I grab my tack cloth. Now this tack cloth is by Scorpal, and I do sell it at Country Craft Creations. It's not just for picking up your glitter. It's for wood products. It's for anything, actually. All right. I didn't realize I was getting so low on my paint. It's getting time to take the lid off and just let it drain. I've used this for a lot of other projects. Okay. Now you can pick this paint up, of course. I know in scrapbook stores, this is the favorite paint of the gentleman who makes these products, and so we stuck with it. I think the quality is nice. Oops. But you don't have to use it. But we include it with our kits because I do like the quality of it. I think it does a better job at doing some covering, but comparable, they're all about comparable. But I also know that their colors don't change a lot. So I can always go back and find the one I was looking for. And if you haven't picked these tools up yet at your Harbor Freight, you need to. You're going to use them for scrapbooking, for wood crafting, for everything. They're just all around handy tools. See how nice and smooth the second coat goes on? All right. Wow. And they have one more. The sides. I do the sides so I can hold on to the center, of course. Well, I just painted the computer. Now, if you're making this for a gift, one thing I like to do, I like to sign the back of my banners. On one of them, you can just initial handmade by and the date. So it makes a really nice keepsake. So now it's time to store the paint upside down. There's plenty more in there. All right, we need to allow our drying time. And we've got to do some taping because you don't want to get brown on this side, and it's easier if we just allow this all to dry completely, tape it, and then you're not going to have to do, hopefully, fingers crossed, a lot of touch up. So I'll see you in just a bit. Okay, if your board is dry, let's move some things. We're going to go ahead and tape. Oh, no, you don't have to. Oh, you might hear background noise because we're also working today. And it gets to be a very busy place. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab my tape. And the main thing is we want it on that edge. And because it's the delicate surface, I don't think you're going to have any trouble and with it taking any paint off. But if it does, whoops, as I smack the camera, if it does, then you'll just want to touch up. And kind of get it on that edge. Yes, I know the sticky part is sticking up. That's my preference. So it sticks onto the tape, but it's totally up to you how you want to put this on. If you want it to be more down on the board and flush, you can. Let me get this started. I would suggest not using masking tape, regular masking tape. It can be very harsh to the paint. This is not a heavy duty type of paint. It's your craft paint. So see if you want it to be more even with the edge, then you just bring it down inside. Now when you do though, make sure it's flush so that no paint will get there, hopefully. So you can do it either way. I usually do all the videos at nighttime, but the lighting is so much better during the day, and I can get them done quicker. So, I know you guys won't mind a little noise. Oh, I'm just short a little spot there. And I can never find the end. There we go. Actually, I just need a small piece. All right, we're ready to go. One thing I don't have is my one board, so I'm going to get that ready. All right, let's get our either brown or you may be using black. Oh, man, that came out fast. Well, that's all the paint I'm going to need. That's what happens when you go upside down. And then, like I said, you might hear a lot of background noise today. We're recording during the day instead of at nighttime. So let me get in camera. All I'm doing is I'm going across the top here. And this one might be a little bit harder for us to keep in camera. And you can use the foam brush or the flat brush if you have one. I like the flat brush. All in all, this project is a great weekend project. You can do more than one in a day. Now, a couple of things though. We have to let our sides dry before we turn them over. So you can actually do all three. We can do 3 sides. And then also we'll do the center, but you need to have a side if you need to stand it up straight. I'll show you. Whatever is comfortable actually for you with painting. So, see, because I have a tendency to bring it up this way, so I like to leave one side, which is going to be this one closest to me. So I'm going to leave that for last after we do the insides there. Oh. And turn the volume off on the phone so we don't have to, there we go. Again, you can sand this, you can make it very rustic. And you can just have it your natural painted way, which is how I left mine. So now we want to go ahead and paint. Like I said, I'm going to be out of camera a little bit. What I'm doing is this ledge, the front portion of it. Really just work fast. Don't spend too much time. You don't want paint to ooze in. And I like to just spread it out thin. Really easy to do. Goes on really quick. It's just really hard to keep in the camera. And see, you need to be able to grab. So decide, are you going to do the bottom or the top? You're still going to need to be able to get your hands in there. I think it's kind of neat to be recording during the day. If you do hear the background noise, that's our shipping room. You get to hear some of the background. Not sure if you are hearing it, but of our daily activities. Now, while it's still wet, go along and check to see if any of your paint has pooled. Anything needs to be smoothed out. Like I said, the tape is not 100% foolproof. You still may have to do some touching up. That's normal. Now, with it laying down and not getting it on my shirt, it dries pretty fast. I'm going to turn my whole board around along with the box, so you're not seeing, but I'm just painting the top. And I can't angle my camera down, so and just add a little bit of paint as you need it. Drying time should go by pretty quick. All right. Okay, so we'll give that about a 20-minute drying time, and then we'll come back and add our second coat. Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead and apply the second coat, just like you did the first coat. Again, if you like, you can sand in between coats. I don't. And then we will get our paint up on the top, the bottoms and sides, and then you'll be done with your board. Okay, after you get the last coat on, once it dries for a few minutes, just go ahead and remove your tape. And you want to set your board aside before we add the eyelets. You don't want to add the eyelets until it is dry. And I usually let it dry overnight. But it doesn't really need that much time. But I usually have 3 or 4 projects going on at the same time. So I'm able just to set it aside and then I come back to it the next day. So make sure there's no dripping. And let me just turn this board and push this down a little bit. And I can get my sides. And then I always keep the shipping box. I just stick it behind my counter and I use it for, you can keep using it for all your projects that you paint. And then I'm just going to go through, smooth my edges, make sure there's no drips. Check and see if I missed any. Now, if you have a heat gun, it's a great tool. If you want to get your drying time done faster. And then when you are ready, you can wait. You can go ahead and peel. It's totally up to you if you are finished. I didn't use the heat gun. I just was showing you. You can use it. Just take your paints, your tape, and your board is done. And then if you have any touching up to do, I would use a smaller brush after this completely dries. So I will move this, the whole thing, push it on here more, get it away so it doesn't dry. There we go. I do have a little touch up in the corners. Do not touch anything up until it dries overnight. Then you can just set this aside. And when we come back, we will do this now, the very last. It's completed in the painting unless you have some touching up to do. When we come back, we definitely will start on our banners. Okay, we are going to do our banner pieces. And you'll have your 6x6 pieces in. I've already cut one, and I have to show you. I had to redo this camera. I messed it up. One thing is we're going to be putting the paper on this side. So let me show you. If you cut it this way with your painted side, it's not going to fit correctly. You need to cut it on the opposite side. That is what I did. And so these are handmade. Even though the people that cut them use a pattern, they're still handmade. So there are going to be some differences in sizes, but we want the acorns I do on top. And as you can see, it doesn't quite fit. So that's where I messed up. So you want to either trace it this way with the unfinished side up or turn it over with the finished side up. Then you need to cut it on the opposite side so that it fits, because it's going to be attached to the unfinished side. So as you can see, it needs to be the side that is going to fit the shape. So I'm just going to lay that down using my pencil. And then you can cut with your cutter. This is pretty hard to see on the brown for you. And I like to cut on the inside of the line just barely to get rid of that pencil mark. And a couple of things. I love the art glue for this. The art glitter glue works fabulous on wood shapes. Well, that came out to be kind of cool looking. So I'm going to turn it over. Now it's not going to fit perfect either. It's going to be a little too big. We can trim that. You can trim it now if you want it to be absolutely perfect. I don't. I usually sand it and I trim it down, and then I ink it after it is attached. Now, one thing, you're going to have these holes, so you do need a pokey tool. You'll need something that you can poke through that will fit all the way through. It's one of the tools from Harbor Freight, or I have this one that works great because it's extremely sharp. And then you will have had twine inside of your kit that we're going to string these together with. And when using my art glue for this, I just remove my metal tip and I set it aside, because you do want a little thicker layer, but not a super thicker layer. And then this is where your other foam brush works really great for this. Still doesn't take a lot. Gives you some movement room, and then down it goes. And using your spatula or a braid or a bone folder, anything you like, that's the first one. So we're going to set it aside. We're not going to poke any holes. We don't want to do anything to it until we know it's dry. So once again, this is facing up, and I'm going to trace. Don't worry if you get pencil on your little banner. It erases or sands right off. And you have plenty of space to get more than one shape. This one I definitely want to hand cut. Again, I cut inside of my lines. Don't worry about it being super, super perfect, because we're going to do some sanding. Now for sanding, you can use sandpaper, sanding block. You can pick those right up in your hardware store, Walmart. They're the foamy squares. You can use an emery board, which is my choice. So I just pick up files when I'm at the grocery store picking up my groceries, or in your Sally's, anywhere you like to buy your nail files. Then we just want to lay this over. Now, if you're not happy with the fit, what did I do again? It's the wrong side. There we go. I need to put it on the unfinished side. Now remember, these were handmade. They're not perfect. When you put this on, see it's sticking over the edge, and that's good. The next one I'm going to do, I'm going to show you another way to do it if you want to do it differently instead of pre-tracing. Just add your art glue. I like to smear it around. You can also use your fingers, but if you know art glitter glue and you use your fingers, then it kind of, you shed all day long, like you're shedding skin. Drives me crazy. Oops. Those edges. And if you need to use a little extra glue, you can. Okay, we're just going to set that one aside. Now, for your triangle, yours is going to look a little different. You may have the flowers in the corner. This is the one that does not. So that's what I'm going to be using. But I still want to put my design up in the corner, or you can position your paper any way you like. Now let me show you. If you don't want to trace your shape, I'm just going to cut a basic shape. Then we're going to add the glue. Kind of dab it around. The only thing that is the perfect edge, I did the top. Let me grab a hold of it. I did the top so it matched at the top, because that was already a nice straight edge. Now before you do any cutting, we want to make sure it's dry if you're going to do it this way. And then I take a bone folder or your finger, and then you can kind of crease your paper along the edge. And we'll put that in our drawing pile. Your next one is the small round one, and it's the back side. So once again, you need to make sure this side is down if you're going to use the painted side as your base, or as your pattern. You just trace that around, and let's cut this one off, just like we did the first two, on the inside of your tracing lines. I love this little shape. Main thing is you get that glue dabbed over to that edge. Remember, if you're using the art glue, it dries clear. If you're using more of a wood, you want to be careful unless you know it doesn't dry yellow. Some wood glues will dry yellow. I just like to use my art glue on these projects, art glitter. Okay, one more to go, and it is this one. One thing I didn't check on mine was, did I have enough scrap? And I do not. So I may have to change here. Let's see what we got. Should have checked the size before we started. And the back side. Let's see if this one will work. Our leaves are sort of, they are pretty much your dimensional. I mean, not dimensional, they are going in a certain direction, pattern specific. So I'm just going to have to break down and do it. So I'm going to grab one of my 12 by 12 sheets. I was trying to avoid cutting the 12 by 12, but that's okay. It'll just be a small piece. So I'm putting that right up on the edge. And I'm just going to cut off a section. And again, cutting on the inside of my pencils. That way you get rid of any of those marks. Now this was my, this was the one that I should have done some sanding. So let's grab, if you have a nail file, this one was the one I had that was a little rough. So if you do have to sand it, as you can see, it's really simple. And did I really do that? I did, and you guys watched me do that on camera and just totally messed that up. But I think it looks okay. See what I did? Yeah. As you can see, the points are different. So, oh, I don't like those next to each other. That shouldn't have been that way, though. I did it this way. Maybe not. So actually, I'm just going to cut my outer edge. And we'll do 2 of them with the blade. So if you do get a little flustered or like so, just resort to this. All right, once that's on, it's going to kind of define those edges. And definitely I want to just set this one aside. And I'm going to just grab my bottom one on the pile and grab your knife. So anywhere you have paper that is off the wooden side, and just be gentle, don't push. If you push, you're going to probably take some wood or gouge it. Cleans up really easy. And this is where the emery board comes into play. Now you want to blend those edges. So I'm just blending the edge of the paper, and it will look like it's taking some of the ink off, but that's why we ink our edges. See that pencil mark? Very easy to remove. Just grab your erasers or grab more paint. But you should be able to erase that just fine. Yes, even here at work we have nap time. And you can hear one little one headed that way. She's protesting. Okay. Once you get your edges cleaned off, choose what I'm going to use. Adobe House. And I've been using it with this fall paper because it has almost that sandy reddish tint. But you can use any one that you like. And just go around your edges. Even let it get on the paint if you want. Gives it that nice distressed look. So the next one, oops, we're going to wait on that one. I believe that one was not quite dry. So just, it doesn't matter which order we're going in for the prep work here. Now this is one, see, and I just did get my wood, but it's easily sanded and painted. You can grab your scissors also. So don't let that really upset you. Just sand it down, grab your paint, and you can touch it up. The wood products are just like your paper. They're easily fixable. You can see where I gouged it a little bit with the knife. Easily fixable. Don't throw it out the window. There we go. And then sand and blend in those edges. If you have any loose edges, just add a little bit more glue. And then I have some pencil marks. You can see they will sand off very easily. And the ones that don't want to sand, if you don't want to sand, it does give it a little bit of a distressed look. Just grab your pencil eraser. And to be honest with you, that's not that bad. So I'm just going to go ahead and sand my paper, ink the edges. Now this was the next one we did. So let's go ahead and lay it on its back side so you can see where you need to cut, and you can go ahead and trim off your excess. Just as easy as that. And then blend in those edges. The whole purpose of this is because you're going to have some spots. Maybe it's on the edge or it hangs over, that you want to make sure it looks like it's a piece of the wood. You don't want it to look like it's paper glued on there. And that cleans up really well these easier shapes. And if you don't want to distress the edges, you don't have to. It's kind of, just a personal look. Our next one. Remember, go slow. Use your scissors if you're not comfortable with a blade. As long as your blade is a new sharp blade, you shouldn't have any problems. Unless you get into these corners and then you have to kind of play with it. And then if there's anything hanging over, it will sand right off. Sometimes we don't think about paper being a wood product, but it is. Oh, one thing, don't go against the paper, go away. Because if there are loose edges and you're pushing up, you're going to grab one of those loose edges and you're probably going to rip the paper. And just get into your corners and creases. But you didn't think it was this easy, did you? This little guy is the one that I'm going to use the scissors on, if there's any trimming to do. And again, I'm not going to worry about it being exactly perfect because I'm going to sand these edges. Because it's really hard to get your scissors inside of those curvy parts. And now we can just go on our edge. And you can blend it all together. And you can mold an emery board a lot easier than you can your scissors. And ink our edges. Now, if this doesn't come out exactly the way you liked it, or maybe you had a spot and you're upset with it, you can add your more paper right on top. Okay, there we have those 5. Now we just need to poke the holes for our thread. So whatever you're choosing to use, I'm going to throw that in the garbage. Whatever pokey tool, you can even go down through there with a needle. I poke the hole and then I come through the front. So this one is a little bit bigger and I'm able to really open that hole. Then once again, you might want to take your emery board and just smooth those out. And lose your whole blade inside of there. And we'll repeat with each one of these. Now I like to start from the back so I don't push the paper, by trying to jam it this way. You don't want to rip it off. And then just use something bigger that you can jam down through the holes. And let's just do the last 3. Plus you have to do it from the back side to know where your hole is. Now, if you don't have anything to poke your holes, I'll bet your husband has a drill bit, or a boyfriend, or your significant other. Now, see, when I pushed, I had a little bit of problem there, so just add your glue. But you can use a drill bit, and there's 1,000 different sizes of drill bits, so I'm sure you have one that will fit through there, or a needle. Or one of the pokey tools from Harbor Freight. Works really great. And there you have your banner pieces. Okay, go ahead and grab your twine. And I'm grabbing the last banner. So this is the order that I had put them on the board. And then this is my last one. When you first put this through, it goes through pretty easy, you'll notice. When you start messing with the end, so we will have to cut things as we go. Now I'm going to pull this all the way through, and I'm going to leave about 12 inches. We will trim that, but the thing is, we are not sure how far we want out to go from our, I stabbed my finger, hooks. There we go. Let's get the words there. So you may have to trim your end off as we go, trying to get it through those little holes. Okay, pushing through. And I just very gently don't touch that end. Holding this with my finger so I don't lose it. And then that comes across the front. Now, depending on your holes, if they're a little crooked, you will notice that. If it bothers you, just reverse that your string is coming from behind so you don't have any on the front. What you'll do is you'll start this way. Let me show you the difference. Then you can bring it up through, because these, like I mentioned, these are handmade. So there's going to be some little variances. And there we go. So if you want it to be behind, I'm going to cut, there we go, cut this down so I have a nice end. So you won't have any of the thread on the front. You can do it either way. We don't have to be quiet. They know from my videos. We still have to pack orders. So go ahead and cut your ends as needed. And there we go. So mine's off. It's just the way it was cut, and it doesn't bother me. It's fine. Okay, and then we're going to come up behind again, controlling it as we go through, and then you may have to go back if you notice any spots. I'm not worrying about my spacing right now. We will even it up more when we put it on the board. There we go. To readjust it as we go. Just give it a twirl. Cut the end off if you need to. The nice thing with us starting with fall for the kit, like I said, this will take you through Thanksgiving. It's going to get really busy in the next couple of months since we're at the end of September. You know what that means, especially if you're a crafter. It means gifts to get done, lots of stuff to get done, and you don't have to worry about changing this. Now, when we ship these out next month, they will go out October 15th, the new banner pieces, and we will be doing the Christmas banner, but that gives you some time to work on it. And we don't have to redo the board, so we just have our banner pieces. Now, if you get to one of the holes and you just notice it's a little bit smaller, just use what means you have. I know on your craft desk you probably have quite a few different tools. Cut your ends if you have to. There we go. Sometimes that's all it takes. Twirl it as you go through. And your banner is now put together so far. We still have to put our hooks in the board. And let's go ahead and grab our layered chipboards. Okay, so I did not turn the camera off. Went and got mine. Yeah, we did change the chipboards, like I mentioned, because this is the chipboards that they go with the Craftology box, and we really did want them to kind of match. So we chose the newer line, and the fun thing is you can put these any way you like. I really love the fall, so if you wanted to do fall and then your flowers at the end. But I'm going to start with my autumn, and it will stick off the banner just like our other one did. I'm just going to set that right down. It sticks over the edge. It is sticky, no problem. Just take some baby powder if you like, or you can also use the fall blessings. And I think it's too late. Oh no, I was lucky there. Let me put my autumn banner in here. I want to see if this will work. Okay. Hold it. Oh, we're going to be just fine. Save that one. Now, on this, you may even want to put a string through there. I will be putting, let me show you, I have some of the pop dots left, and I usually have tons of them left from the prior years, but I've just really been using them, and oh, maybe I don't. I have some somewhere, but I will be just putting, oh, here we go, the little pop dot. I knew it wasn't too far. Where the hole will come off. I'm down to like just the teeny tiny ones, but they are perfect for right there. They add a little dimension. I'm just kind of looking at the different sizes. Definitely Blessed has to go on the first one. Now on other banner series, we will be using different, we will be using wood pieces to decorate with. We will be painting. Now I really like this one because it has some of the same shape as this banner. And down goes the mason jar, which is just adorable. And you can always add more. And this, oh, that would actually look really cute. So I'm going to remove that little guy. Now, I always use my art glitter glue when I put those down. Instead, I'm taking the Grateful, put that right on top of the owl. We're going to layer it there. And then you can go through and either use these on other projects. Definitely can add these anywhere you like. The nice thing is they are dimensional, so they do add dimension to your banner. Oops. And there you have the banner part. Now, go ahead and check your board, and if you feel it's dry enough, then we will be able to work with it. And I will check mine and see if we're able to work with it. And then we'll be close to being finished. Okay, I know on my board I do have a little touch up in the corner. And you can do this before, you can do it after. I did get some brown. Now when you go back to cover up, especially when you're trying to cover up the brown with the ivory, be patient. It's going to take a couple of coats. And if you have any in any other corners you're not happy with, and it usually is the corners, where your problems will arise. Okay, we need now to attach our hooks. You have 2 eye hooks inside of your kit. And what we're going to do is about a 1/2 inch from the top. You're going to need something sharp. So I'm going to use this little pokey tool again. And in the center, about a 1/2 inch from the top, I'm going to start a hole. Now I'm going to be honest with you, this can be a little bit difficult. So start the hole, and then do you have any small like needle nose pliers? It's going to be helpful. leave them in there. Or you may have to grab another pair of hands. And I'm going to turn this up on its edge. These are threaded. And be patient. Like I said, you may have to grab another pair of hands, or these little needle nose pliers work great. And I wish I could tell you there was an easier way to do this, but there is not. But it is threaded, so just keep working it. I'm trying to stay in the camera for you. But the nice thing is you only have to do this once. So once it starts to get tied is when I grab the pliers again. It's just a really tight area. Whoops, grab the board. Let's just lay it down. The main thing is if you can really get it started, pushed in there. So grab maybe your significant other and put him to work. Okay, it is going. Now mine's going in a little bit at an angle, which won't hurt a thing. And you want to twist it all the way in to the last thread is inside of your wood. Okay, now, oh, yes, your tools may mark up your board. So before we hang the banner, see, I'm going to have to go back through now and do some touch-up. And see the metal on the wood? I don't know if you can see it. You do want the screw, so if this is laying down, you don't want it to be going up and down, you want it to be that way. Now, once again, about a half an inch from the top in the center. I'm trying not to hit the camera. I'm going to poke my hole as far down as I can. There we go. Let me find the lid to this. I'm going to grab the tool from Harbor Freight. I'm going to see if I can't go down a little bit harder. There we go. So if you have a family member that has a small drill bit, but you don't want it to go in too far. Remember how I said we don't want to lose that hook? Oh, here it is. Little eye hook. It is little. So I'm going to get it started. Now when you're using your pliers, try to push in as you're going. There we go. So you just want it. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to take my cloth again. Okay, one thing I should have showed you, I'm so sorry. You do have this area to hang it and over here. You should check, but here's the thing. My husband actually put a wire in mine. A wire hangs better than this. So don't fret if you just did that. And we're going to do our touch up now before we hang the banner. When you touch up, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to notice it takes a lot more than just one coat on the touching up. Okay, my point is, there we go. Got me a nice big glob. Check to make sure all your touching up is done. And then put your banner aside to dry, and we will hook up the banner. Okay, we've got our hooks in, and my touch-up is dry. So grab your banner, and I'm going to measure, so I need to, from the end. I have about 9 inches. So let me move this piece. So this is 12. I've got to cut it. So from that edge to there, I want about 10 inches. We're still going to cut it. You just want enough when you tie it onto your hooks. Now, your hook is closed, and the reason for that is you don't want this falling off. So lay your banner inside your board and go ahead and let's move it around. And I'm going to put this longest one basically in the center as my guide. And then you can arrange and move your banner where you want it. And I'm going to hold it, and I have to tip it up just to get a look. Okay. When it looks good to you, what I do is I just thread this end up through. And we're going to tie it, bring it around this way, and we'll reach in and just, once I can get a hold of it, there we go. And let's just make another knot. Now the thing is, you want to be able to untie it, and that this twine we sent you, it will untie quite easily. And then grab your scissors. Once you find where you put them, I'll use my bigger ones. I'm just going to cut that end off. Now we may have to, we've got to do some rearranging a little bit. So let's go ahead and just untie that knot. Bring mine over just a little bit. Will Lila be okay? Janelle? Okay, we won't double knot that this time. Okay, hold your board up and shuffling it up and down, deciding where you would like it. Like I said, this is kind of, we have to do a little bit of rearranging until you get it exactly where you want it. I'll use my little needle nose pliers or tweezers. We have them all. My serger tweezers. These came with my serger. I really like these. And you can kind of move it around. Okay, so this is falling down too far. So this means I need to just raise this side up. And I wish there was a better formula to tell you how to do this, but there's not, because it depends on how much, you know, string you've used or put at the end. So we're just going to bring this up kind of tight. We're almost there. Looks like that side's good. I'm going to redo this side. And let's try this. We are almost there. Just needs to come up a little bit more. Well, it's this side now that needs to come up. Wow, it's not cooperating today. All right, let's try one more time. Let's just bring this one up just a hair more. So I'm just basically walking it. Almost. I'm trying to get this one not to touch the bottom. This one, yeah, you just have to work on it. Not all banners will have that long piece, so each one you'll have to just each time. And I am there. Woohoo! Okay. Once it's there, don't worry about them being, I'll show you, we're going to adjust our banner pieces. Now, I will cut this each time or untie it. That part doesn't worry me. Each season just to cut it and then actually add a new one. But if you don't want to do that, just untie it like we have been. Just don't tie it very tight because you want to be able to get it undone. if you're cutting it like I am, because it's very easy, as you can see, to rethread these. Now, hold your banners up. If they're not completely where you want them, let's just readjust them until you're happy where their placement is. Okay, once you're happy with the placement and you don't feel that you need to tie it up anymore, it's this one that's just driving me crazy. He seems to be a little bit longer than my other banner was. Grab that knot piece. I'm just trying to find the end of there. Okay. Then you did get a piece of the polka dot ribbon. So if you want to cover that up, so you don't have just the eyelet sticking there, then we can bring that right through. And you can change this. Of course, you will change it. We'll have the different color ribbon each time to match your banner. And on this, I'm not making a full knot. And you can just cut your ends off. And we'll do this side. Now on you have some pieces left from your chipboard collection, and the nice thing is they don't stick permanently onto wood like they do paper. So they really make a cute corner decoration. All right, so let's get some better scissors. How about some fabric scissors? There, that looks a lot nicer. And you can grab these pieces. Now you can even use fall to decorate up here on the wood and to cover if you want on these corners, or you can put your fall down here in the middle, add your other fall banner. The nice thing is these will not hurt the wood. It probably won't stay if you disturb it a lot. But the nice thing is you'll be able to remove it, and then you can add pop dots for next year. Just put it away on a piece of wax paper if you've thrown the other paper away, and there you have your monthly Craftology banner kit. And you can set it on your mantles. It displays very nicely on your fireplaces. Put the wire, hang it on the wall. And next month we'll be back with new banner pieces that will ship on the 15th of October, and it will be our Christmas theme in the October. So as soon as you're done with the fall, then you'll be able to change it over to your Christmas, or maybe winter. We haven't decided. We may do more type seasonal that will take you through January. So thank you, everybody, and I hope you enjoy making your banner.